Business ideas are a dime a dozen. However, few have the creativity, drive and resources to carry those ideas from concept to reality. That's where you come in. If you've got a business idea that's so unique, so scalable, and so filled with potential that almost no one has ever thought of it before, you'll need to look at starting your own company. Once you've assessed your personal risk tolerance and bank balance, it's time to consider whether starting your own company is right for you. Here's everything you need to know about starting a business in South Africa. Before you can decide what kind of business you want to start, you'll first need to figure out what you'll be in business for. This might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people get this wrong. The best businesses are the kind that are driven by a single, clear purpose. It's far easier to focus your energy on one thing instead of being muddled between dozens of different marketing strategies, all with the hope of hitting the jackpot. What is your core purpose? Market analysis is one of the most important steps in starting your company. After all, it's what will help you decide what kind of product or service you'll be creating. Market research is a vital part of any business and may mean the difference between failure and success. One thing is for sure, just by doing thorough market research you'll be ahead of most of your competitors who are likely to not have bothered. First things first, you need to understand who your market actually is. That is, what kinds of people are in your ideal customer profile. You might find existing data on consumer segments or commission your own research. By segmenting consumers into different groups, you can save money by focusing on only developing products for those specific segments, and only advertising to those segments. Market research will tell you a lot of information about the market you're looking at. For example, you can find out what products people are currently buying, what they like and don't like about those products, and who they are buying them from. Market researchers call these usage and attitude surveys and problem detection surveys. Once you know who your market is, it's time to figure out what product or service you'll be offering them. Now, don't get stuck on this too early in the process. While it's essential to have a clear idea of what your product or service will be, you don't want to build it in your head. Instead, you want to write it down. In other words, you're creating a concept board that you could show to others. This will help you focus on what you want your product or service to do. That is, if you're making a product that's going to help people lose weight, you don't want to be thinking about how to market it as a diet supplement. Instead, you want to be thinking about what that product would look like if you were a customer. And yes, this is a very important step in the process. This is where more active or custom marketing research can be extremely powerful, as it increases your chance of success and reduces the odds that you will lose the money you invest. Test your new concept by putting it in front of consumers in a survey and measuring their response. That way you can decide whether consumer acceptance is sufficient or whether to further refine your concept. Such concept testing surveys also assist in identifying strengths and weaknesses. Make sure your concept board includes a brief description of the problem solved, features and benefits along with imagery if needed. It is best to use a professional testing service or system, such as the Accenture Concept Test or Conjoint Analysis, because DIY concept testers often misinterpret results when acting on their own. The most important part of starting a business is bringing in the money. This doesn't just mean making money, either. It's about finding the right kind of money for your venture, and how you'll handle that cash flow. First, it's important to know what kind of money you'll need to get started. This will help you figure out if you need a small amount from friends and family, or if you'll need to find investors. Then, once you have a sense for how much money you'll need, it's time to find the right source for that cash. There are a few different ways to approach this. First, you can go through a business broker. Brokers can help you find a range of different sources for funding, including both private investors and business loans. Alternatively, you can look at doing equity crowdfunding, or crowdsource equity investment. This requires a far smaller investment than most venture capital programs, and many online platforms offer this to help budding entrepreneurs get funding. The best part of starting your own company is the creative freedom it affords you. After all, you'll have no one breathing down your neck telling you to produce a certain amount of revenue each month. However, that same freedom also comes with a certain amount of pressure. This is because you're the one making all of the decisions about your business. And yes, you're the one who will have to live with those decisions. First, monitor your cash flow closely. This means tracking how much money you bring in each month, and how much money you spend each month. While you want to make sure your business is profitable, you don't want the amount of money you bring in to outpace the amount of money you spend. This will leave you with less money in your account at the end of the month. The best way to learn the ropes of starting a company is through hands-on practice. That is, you don't necessarily want to read about companies and their histories, you want to start your own. That said, you can't cut yourself off from the larger business community completely. After all, you'll want to draw inspiration from others at some point. However, you don't want to join that community too early in the process. The best way to approach this is to find a mentor. A mentor is someone who is more experienced than you, so that they can guide you. They can also act as a sounding board for your ideas. It is often useful to get feedback from someone with more experience, and to get alternative viewpoints. Finally, it's worth keeping an eye on the law. That is, while you don't want to be overly concerned with the law while you're starting your company, you want to know what you can and can't do. It's worth knowing what's called a gray area in the law. Gray areas are laws that aren't clearly black or white. This can make it difficult to know where the line is drawn. To help you navigate this gray area, there are a handful of resources you can turn to. As a first stop, you could consult the Small Business Site, a site devoted to small business in South Africa. Besides dealing with legal issues, this site has a wealth of other information about starting your own company. A link is provided below. Ultimately though, you may need to consult a lawyer.